Hey, shalom, 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 everyone. I'm happy you all are here with me tonight. Um, this is a special time. We're being aired tonight. We normally come on at 9 o'clock. Excuse me, at 8 o'clock. Um, but had a lot of things going on today, which made it impossible. Uh, Originally tried to do it earlier in the day, and that was a failure. And I said, I have no choice but to push it to later this evening. But I thank you all. Uh, I know many of y'all that normally be on here with me live might not be on here with me tonight, and that's understandable. But I'm just glad to know that you will be watching it on replay. Um, And yeah, so just want to thank each and every one of y'all again. My name is Rosh Ya'acob ben Avraham. I am a rabbi at Gethsemane Spiritual Temple Congregation. And on this show, I give my take or my understanding of different views based off the Torah. We deal with all kind of topics here. Deal with a lot of stuff that people send me. And different things that I might be scrolling along and I say, oh man, I need to talk about that and go from there. So it is a wide range of different things you'll see popped up on here. It might be stuff you be like, why are we talking about that? And then it said, oh, that's what the Torah is saying about that. I never really think about it like that. Right, so that's the whole thing with that. So I thank each and everyone for logging on and so forth. We're going to go ahead and get ready to get into this final chapter, this final installment to the Isaiah 53 revealed, based off of a question that Rabbi Singer was asked. And this part we're about to get into in a little bit. You're going to see how he tries to go in, and we're going to just see where he goes with it and see where it takes us. So with that being said and done, y'all know how I normally do the format of the show. Start off with some breaking news and then have the artists of the week. And then we get into the main reason that you all are here. All right, so with that being said and done, we're going to go right into our breaking news. All right, so breaking news tonight is coming from the state of Israel. This is something that I came across. I said, I don't know, a lot of times different news and stuff that come out of Israel, for the most part, most people don't get to see, or they might don't get to hear. And this was something that I seen, and I was like, wow, this is kind of crazy. And just wanted to just highlight this a little bit just to see what happened. So we're going to go right into this. And again, this is dealing with some Messianic believers. And I guess they had a coalition where they kind of mixed themselves together with Christians as well. And all of them were attacked while attending a concert. And this just was reminiscent of how different people try to feel when they see that you're Messianic. It's like they get so angry and worked up. And I just want y'all to see that the state of Israel is not exempt. Matter of fact, it's probably even worse over there. So let's just take a peek at what happened.
So as the worshipers were trying to come in, the protesters would block them. They would get in their way. They would physically put their hands on them, put their body on them.
Senior pastor Chad Holland told CBN News protesters verbally and physically attacked those trying to attend the concert sponsored by the Messianic Jewish Alliance of Israel.
All right, so this wasn't just apparently the Messianic Jews were trying to have some kind of alliance, even with Christian sects as well. It's trying to come together and maybe try to bring them into Torah. We have no idea where this could have went, but they were attacked by people who are probably religious or probably not religious at all. I really find it weird when people who aren't religious at all are the main ones that try to attack you. And they don't believe in nothing. But they'll sit there and be like, oh, yeah, let's attack him. Let's say this and that and another about him. And they don't believe in anything. So this is basically what we saying right here, where they was trying to come into this concert event. So it wasn't even, it might have been some ministry there as far as people speak, but it was mainly just people coming together for a concert. Just as a concert, just saying, okay, we might don't agree rhetorically on everything, but music is a unifying thing. Maybe we can come together on music. And people that didn't have anything to do with it felt like this was the end of the world. How dare the Messianic Jews align themselves with these Christians in the state of Israel? How dare this happen? We can't let this happen. Yet, you go to Tel Aviv and you got LGBTQ movements and stuff happening, and these guys is out here in an uproar about this is quiet. Quiet. Ain't saying nothing. They're just gonna live their life. But now this, I don't want them to get together and listen to music. This is crazy. Seriously. Look it up. They got one of the biggest LGBTQ parades happens in the state of Israel in Tel Aviv. You don't see these guys out here riding and pushing people and busting them in the head and all that. But some people that believe in the Rebbe Yahshua ben-Yoseph, want to come together and listen to music. Oh, that's the end of the world. We got to put an end to this. This has to stop. Really? This has to stop. Really? That's what's being said now. This has to stop.
Several people that got harmed, they got accosted. We were being told of several people who got hurt. In addition to that, there was quite a loud noise-making group, and eventually this group of protesters, and we might even say violent protesters, grew to between 80 and 100 people.
While Holland commended police for bringing order.
Worshippers were coming for one heart of love for God, love for one another, and the protesters had a different heart motive, and they didn't seem to care if someone was a man, a woman, a grown person, a child, an elderly person, or a baby. They didn't seem to care. They were going to promote this violence, make this noise.
Now that's crazy. Now that's a small clip that I found on that. If I find out more, or if anything else breaks out, I will bring you more on that. But that's just something that I just want us to see, because it just blows my mind. Even when I look at stuff with us, when we was in different groups, and no matter how much we taught Torah, did all these different things, they just said, oh, you guys are Christians, and we don't like y'all, and get out of here, and we hate you. And I was just like, wow. This is crazy. So anyway, yep. All right. So that's one breaking news event. And the next one is something, because I said last week I wanted to end it on a good note. So I felt like that clip was so short that I can open up with this bigger clip. And I wanted to give a brother in the community that's been doing different things in his city, his community. Wanted to give him a big ups. And if you know of any people that should be honored and given a big ups, let me know. I'm gonna try to come up with something nice and fancy to be able to do for the next people. But this is our first person that's going to get this at the end where you getting this big up. And his name is Yirmiyah ben Yehuda, and he's been doing different things. I found them on YouTube. It just was some different stuff that he popped on my radar with, and was seen the different things he did and he was doing in his community, and even how the community itself and the city itself gave him props. I was like, this brother is doing some stuff. And this right here is an idea that he has, and I just wanted to expound on this and just give this brother some props while I can. All right. So, no further ado, we're going to go ahead and just check out Yirmiyah and hear this brother out.
All right. To all of my brothers and sisters out there in Kansas City, Missouri, this is indeed a great day to be alive. It's the day the Most High Heavenly Father made. We should rejoice and be glad in it. Make a left-hand turn at the next corner.
Yeah.
This one? Yeah, make a left-hand turn. To my brothers and sisters that's participating in the community event, we took off and we started working on something a couple of years ago, and we brought these things before the Park and Recreation Board in Swope Park. Now, we tried to beckon to get our brothers and sisters to meet me out there so that we could address this particular thing. However, there was nobody there but me. But
now, I can feel him on this. I remember when I was young and idealistic, and I tried to gather together different people from different regions, and I went to this congregation and that congregation, and I said, I'm trying to get us all together. Let's all get together, and we can meet here. And people call me and say, yeah, we gonna meet you. Yeah, we gonna be there. And just like he said, when I got to the place and I sat there, the only person that was there was me and my godmother and my god aunt. And that was it. And, you know, my god aunt, she said, I didn't want to tell you, because I was young, I was idealistic. She said, I didn't want to tell you, but I knew they wasn't going to come, because if it's nothing big, if it's no money for them to make in it and any of these things, unfortunately, people don't try to do for us in our communities, right? You know, so when he said that, that's why I looked at this clip and I said, yeah, I fail him on that. Because I remember doing that. Being out there saying, hey guys, let's come together, let's do this, that, and the other. And people that be all vocal and saying they about this and they about that, and nobody showed up. Nobody. So I understand his pain when he says, you know, we tried to get everybody to meet me out there so we could conversate and talk about what we gonna do for the community, and I was the only one that showed up. I know that feeling. I remember that feeling. I remember she looked at me and I felt crazy. So I'm like, they don't care about what's happening in our communities. They don't care what's going on. We got a chance. We can really come and do something, and nobody shows up. Nobody. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So I definitely understand how the brother feels with that.
We off to a running start. And see, now we got community participation. So to all the brothers and sisters that have contributed money on behalf of these children, to all of the parents that have been bringing their children out here to participate in the community event, let me let you in on what it is that we're aiming to do. It's already reached the attention of the city officials. It's only going to be a matter of time. Pull over right here. Before it's only going to be a matter of time before we get to the place to where we're able to deal with these people. But we want to have one mind, and I want to show you what we're reaching for. So we're gonna get out. And we're at one of the local parks. That's about 10 minutes from Swope Park. And this is what I want to show you. Sorry, bro, because this is what we want this. We want this for our children too. And see, it's time out because this is the same district. We're in the same district. And there been money allotted for some of these other parks that's in the same exact district. However, our district is going neglected. When we're talking about we don't want our children skating at the bandstand on hard concrete where they can hurt themselves, they need to be facilitated. This is what we're talking about. You see this? This is a skating arena. And it's particularly built for skating.
Mm-hmm.
It's particularly built for skating. Now, these people, they don't pay no different taxes than we pay. This park is in the same community. It's in the same district. This is still the 5th district in Kansas City, Missouri. And so when we talk about self-awareness, when we become aware of things that's available to us, it's up to us to do it. That's what makes the community event so beautiful, is because nobody is doing this. We are doing these things for our own self.
And that right there is powerful. I think in a lot more cities, if we had brothers like Yah who would come out and say, hey, let's do this for our community, let's work on this, and is able to get the people to listen to, like he was able to get the community to donate money and time. That's hard. But he was able to get it to happen, right? And it's all for the children to make a difference. And then watch how he breaks it down later, how this one small thing that make a difference for the children, he's gonna break down how this can affect the whole community as a whole.
Yeah, but it's more work to be done. So
we need to take donations from people to try to get this, make this happen in our own neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what we're gonna do.
They got safety guards up here. You see all these safety guards right here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we need them to build this in our community.
That's right.
For the children.
That's what we working on. That's what we working on.
Big enough
so
for everybody.
So these community events, it's a purpose behind it. It's a purpose behind it. And what we attempting to do and what we aiming to do is we're aiming to pull our people together. So when we stand up and start speaking, we can speak with one voice. And that's why it's so important for any of you brothers and sisters to understand a sense of community. Nobody have to designate you a particular thing to do. Whatever God put on your heart to do to make a community event better, you play your role.
And he's right. And the thing is, when you start doing stuff together as a community, it's not about old Democrat, Republican, all these other political stuff. We got to get away from all of that. It's about what's best for us. What's best for us, and who's going to do it. If you want to do it, we with you. If you're not, then we not putting you in there. But you got to be able to show that unity. You got to be able to show that y'all coming together like that so they know, okay, we got to listen to them. And they feel like it's just random people randomly here and there and there's no unity. They ain't going to pay you no attention.
Play your part. And when you play your role and you play your part, then you feel good because you now have become a part of something that is great. That's great. And for everybody that have contributed money, in them last 2 weeks, we have passed out over $1,500 worth of skates for the children. We raised another $400, and then we got brothers outside. Their brother just called me today. Went by his house. Here's another $100 for the children. We got brothers that's outside of the skating event through the course of the week that's still bringing forth money because they recognize now everybody that have ever gave money, that's something that people are making happen. That's your voice that's speaking loud and clear. So everybody that participated in this community event, when we start dealing with these officials and these city officials and these politicians and these parks and recreation, when we start dealing with them, we'll deal with them with one voice. So everybody that have ever had a hand in participating, like I said, whether you're a parent that brought your children, that's participation. That's playing a role. Whether you're the children that's being recipients of the skates and skating, that's participation. That's playing a role. Whether you're the people behind the scenes that's fueling and being responsible for producing the money so that we can make these things happen, hey, that's participation. That's playing a role. And everybody, whether you're the person out there that's cooking the hot dogs for the children, whether you're the person out there that's being responsible for the community shirts and things like that, those are roles that are being played. And everybody that's playing a role, when you get the call, when we pull everybody's name out of that hat and say, listen, we need for you to come and lift up your voice because this is what we are reaching for, you understand that when it happens and when it takes place, nobody gonna be talking about what Michi done, what Brother Milligan done. It's gonna be what we all done.
And that's what it's about. That's what it's about. What can we all do to build up our communities? It's not just he's sort of giving us a prototype for what can be done in every city, right? And like he said, everybody to participate, and then when it's time to actually go and say, hey, this is what we want to happen, then everybody come together and we all as one, united, saying this is what we want. When they see numbers and they see people united, they do, because they know that this affects their votes. But if he put together the event and nobody show up with their kids, then that's a failure, right? So that's why he said even the parents bringing their children and the children, all of them are participants, right? Because all that helps it to go. So as it's going, they see all these people head is going, they're like, oh, okay, I see what they doing. And then y'all come together politically and say, this is what we want you to do. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, it's a whole different ball game at that point.
And all of us gonna take the credit for everything that's happening. Everybody that's been participating in that part is taking the credit for themselves, because one person by themselves can only do so much. But when you put all of us together, it ain't no limits to what we can get done. Together. So I wanted to put the spotlight on that to show you that these community events ain't just for nothing. So it's going to be imperative in the days to come that our grown folks understand how important it is to have discretion. Because when those cameras show up, as we said before, when those cameras show up, they're going to put a spotlight on the negativity of our people. They're not going to put a spotlight on the fact that everything that's what they looking for. Has been community funded. They're not going to put a spotlight on that. They're not going to put a spotlight on the fact that the DJ ain't getting a dime, that the people cooking ain't getting a dime.
Go ahead, brother.
Being motivated and being done is for
they not going to put that on it.
It's coming out of people's own pocket. They're not going to put the spotlight on that. But we don't need them to put the spotlight on that. So what they're going to put the spotlight on, they're going to put the spotlight on adults that don't have no discretion, the adults that's out smoking their weed in front of the children. They're going to put the spotlight on whiskey bottles that's laying around. And nobody's saying that you can't do it, because as grown-ups, it's a certain way that we need to conduct ourselves, especially when we with children. We're working on something great. And it'll work with one thing. It'll work with 10 things. So on this Tuesday, let us arm ourselves with this fact. Listen, when you want to do grown-up things, start practicing now on not doing it. in the midst of the children.
That's
You
right.
want to drink? You want to have your mixed drinks? Let's start working on
You gotta
putting our
set the
drinks
good
in a
example
cup.
for
Don't
the
come to the
youth.
park and set your
Gotta
Hennessy
set the
bottles and
example
your
for the youth.
wine bottles on the tables and all of these things. Because when those cameras show up, you don't want that. You don't want that there. The Bible tells us don't let our good be evil spoken
Amen.
of. And so when we're trying to do something good, you got to understand that there's going to be people looking for anything
Yes, they are.
evil that they can use to speak in a negative way against what it is that we're doing, so that they can continue to keep robbing and stealing.
I remember it was this guy years ago named Howie, and he opened up. He did just like what brother Jeremy Yah is doing. He was able to talk to this church. They let him get the hall. And he opened it up for the youth to do dances, where the youth can come for the dances. And he had DJs, he had music, he had people being able to get up on the stage and perform. Some of my family actually was performers there, right? And was getting their shine rapping. This one hip hop was at its height of in its growth as it was coming up, and everybody wanted to be involved, and everything was good, but all it took was this certain bad things that happened, and that's all the news focused on. Outside a local rec center, such and such violence, and he's like, what? And of course, that began to break all that kind of stuff down. So he's right. Once you get stuff like this up and going, and you been good, and you building it in the community, and you doing a good thing for the youth, getting them off the streets and doing all this good stuff, you can't let your good be evil spoken of. You can't sit out there now and begin to do crazy stuff that they want to focus on. So we gotta think smart. You know what I mean? We gotta think smart. So, this brother, Jeremy Yah, giving us props. Did his thing. He's doing his thing in the community. I'm going to at least try, if not every week, at least 1 week out of the month, to be able to showcase an individual within a community that's doing something to help big up the community. I already have another individual in mind that I will be bringing up next week to close it out. Because I said I don't want to close out the breaking news with bad stuff. We just hear this bad stuff and it just end like that. I want the breaking news to close out by us looking at different people in our community that's doing something, that's uplifting, that you can say, wow, and this a Hebraic brother. You know what I'm saying? It's not just anybody. This our brother. And he's out there doing his thing in Kansas City, Missouri. And want to give him his props. Again, this is Jeremy Yah ben Yehuda. And I'm going to let him, I think that was it.
From us and from our community. So, peace and blessings.
Yeah, just want to just give him his props for all that he's doing in Kansas City, Missouri. And again, if you know people in wherever you all live at that's doing stuff, brothers and sisters in the community, you can send me them. You got a video of them or something that they're doing, you can send it to me or send me the link. You can email it to me. I believe my email is now connected to my YouTube, so you can email it to me. Or you can connect with me on Facebook. Same thing, Ya'acob ben Avraham. Can connect with me on Facebook, or you can just look up Ya'acob Avraham and just send it to me that way and say, hey brother, check out this brother or check out this sister. They doing big things. Next week it's gonna be a sister that I'm going to bring out. And she's been doing big things for a long time here in Baltimore. And I actually know this sister. And so this is going to be something big when I bring this out, because it's someone I actually know. Jeremy Yah, like I said, I just stumbled across this brother, and I seen a few videos where he was doing stuff in the community. I'm like, that's what you talking about. Not just somebody on the internet just doing whatever, but somebody's really doing stuff. That's like what I tell people. I'm like, I'm really doing stuff, man. I'm not just on here talking. I mean, yeah, I am on here talking, but there's other stuff that I'm doing too behind the scenes. And when I see people that's standing in the forefront, uh, actually doing things, I gotta give them their props. So definitely just want to give his brother his props, and just want to just clap it up for him and all that, and just so that we really appreciate him and his hard work he's doing in his community. All right, so that's it for that right there. Brothers doing his thing, like I said, in his community. Want to just really big him up. All right, so now we're going to get into our next part, which is the artist of the week. So we're going to get into our artist of the week, and this is Queen Makeda. Queen Makeda. This is our second week being as our artist of the week, and beautiful sister, beautiful music, and you can just feel her soul. You can just when I'm saying beautiful, I'm not just talking about appearance. I'm just saying you can just feel the spirit. You can just feel the spirit even in her words. And I'm gonna let y'all see for yourself. This is our artist of the week. Amen. All right, so again, this is our sister, Queen Makeda. She gave you the her bio last week. I read through her bio last week. I said this week I wanted to actually go into. We read the bio and her background. This week wanted to actually go into some other things that she's doing. So it's like her performances. So she has stellar reviews since touring the U.S. Queen Makeda has shared the stage with reggae greats like Don Carlos, Sister Curl, the Twinkle Brothers, the Rastafarians, Winston, Jarrett, Roots Underground, Bamboo Station, and Groundation at some of the most celebrated world music festivals in the world, including Sierra Nevada World Music Festival, the Northwest World Reggae Festival, the Monterey Bay Reggae Fest, just to name a few, plus Groundation's Marcus Garvey tribute celebration at the Catalyst in Santa Cruz, earning her high reviews. And then you got some of her reviews here and other different things. Then you got the several albums that she has. She has several albums. So you got the different things about that. Several albums. You see, she's been in the game for a minute and been putting it down. This right here says Women for Peace Tour. Empress Meditations, through her nonprofit Empress Meditations. So this is her nonprofit group. So she has a nonprofit group called Empress Meditations, and it says Queen Makeda worked with I guess it's supposed to be other female artists and organizations to bring recognition to women in the reggae world and music while raising donation and awareness for charity. The Women for Peace Tour visited Sebastopol, Nevada City, Santa Cruz, Monterey, Berkeley, Pacifica, Point Richmond's Summer Concert Series, and Oregon's Northwest Reggae Festival, and collected in-kind goods and donations for A Safe Place, Oakland's oldest shelter for victims of domestic violence. So they got donations and everything they got for this place called Safe Place, which is Oakland's oldest shelter for victims of domestic violence. Makeda also worked with other nonprofit organizations such as World Beat Center of San Diego, Earth Day, Marcus Garvey, Legends and Reggae Festival, Reggae Guilds of the Bay Area, Bread and Roses, A Woman's Place, and it says A Woman's Place is a homeless shelter, mothers of murdered children. So Queen Makeda's been doing this for a long time, really been out there, and of course she's booking, so she's still booking for tours and jobs and different things like that. I'll take my man out the way for a minute so you can see this full picture. Yeah, so I got the link for her webpage in the description as well. So please support our sister as she continues on this journey of trying to bring peace to the community and to the youth, and trying to protect our other sisters and stuff that they're going through. And just want to just give her props. Really enjoy her music, and I'm quite sure it's gonna be more of her music that will get showcased on here as well. But just really appreciate music and her efforts and her time and all the stuff she did. And again, let's bring it back up. Queen Makeda is our artist of the week. All right, so hopefully y'all been enjoying the different things that we talked about and went through thus far. Please like, share, and subscribe. I believe we got a good amount of time now to be able to we got a good amount of time now to be able to get through this, what you all came to see, this conclusion. you guys really been enjoying this. I've been looking at the numbers, and it may not be on a level of super channel numbers, but for me, I am happy just to know that it's reaching people, just to know that people, this is now creating conversations. Got different people commenting and saying different things. So I'm like, that's good. Love to create conversation about Torah and being able to bring people closer and closer to the Most High. That's what it's all about. So I'm going to cue up the video so we can be right back where we were at. And we're going to go from there. So let me cue up the video so we can go right back to where we were at.
Why do we have to dispose of that? Why do we have to jettison it?
All right, so let me see. It's right about here. I believe he was right here. No. Yeah, he was right here. All right, so I got us right back to where we was at. We're actually halfway through his clip. We don't got much time left, so we should be able to finish his whole clips out and get to the bottom of this. Like I said, we're going to get into the scriptures. So once he bring up different scriptures, we're going to look at those scriptures and see what's going on with them, and just go from there. I don't want to spend too much time trying to break stuff down. I looked over my last live and I felt like I took too much time trying to break stuff down. I mean, it showed you that it was live because we really was doing it, but some people might don't want to see all that. So that's what I think. Well, people might don't want to see me sitting there talking about and pause and I'm reading. I'm like, I don't want to do all that. Right? I want to get to, because if we having a conversation and we was in real life with this, yeah, I still would do the same thing. I'm gonna try to carry like how I would normally carry it. Oh my goodness, let's get to this. I believe we gonna get through this. So let's go ahead and get in this. Let's get into this. All right, so this is where we left off at. He said, he started talking. First, he said something about Isaiah 43. It's like he was jumping all over the place. And you're going to see that. So we're not going to be able to jump all over the place. So we're going to try to deal with the stuff that he actually puts up on the screen. So once he puts something up on the screen, we're going to try to deal with that for the most part. We're going to still probably deal with stuff. But he was throwing so much stuff out, it was like, okay. You'll see. I don't want to talk too much about it. Let's get into it. All right, so let me bring my man up. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it.
11. Remember I said to you, if you know 53.
All right, so he used Isaiah 41:8. Isaiah 41:8. And let's look at what it says again. It says, you, Yisrael, are my servant, Ya'acob, who I chose, the seed of Abraham, my friend. Now, do I disagree with that? No. I have a problem with that. What we're going to see is he's going to point out different scriptures in multiple places. I want you to hear this. I want you to hear this. I want you to get this as he does when he gets there. I want you to get this. He's going to point out scriptures in multiple places where the Almighty makes it clear that Yisrael is his servant. I'm not taking away from that. It's in the Tanakh. It's in the writings. Why would I try to take away from that, right? But he's going to point that out. What I need you all to understand is this. And this is why I say to people, wait, and this is for Brit Chadasha readers or the Renewed Covenant readers or even Christians to some degree. There's a book called the Book of Hebrews, right? The Book of Hebrews, and I know you probably like, well, why are we talking about the Book of Hebrews right now while we talking about Isaiah? Because this is the point that I'm going to use to prove my point as we go further on with this. In the Book of Hebrews, it doesn't say who the author of the Book of Hebrews is. The Book of Hebrews is such a deep book. It gets into the idea of the Mishkan and what happens within the Mishkan, the Kohen HaGadol. It breaks down a lot of different things. And to some people, they say, well, it sounds like it's Rav Shaul or Apostle Paul, as some would call it, but it's really Rav Shaul. So some people say, well, it sounds like Rav Shaul to me, right? But it doesn't say that he wrote it. But you might hear people say, well, when Apostle Paul wrote the Book of Hebrews, blah, blah, blah. It's like, how can you say he wrote the Book of Hebrews? It does not say he wrote the Book of Hebrews. People can say it sound like him. I feel like it's him. I think it's him. So therefore it's him. You got many Christians and Messianics that will argue that the Book of Hebrews is written by Apostle Shaul, by Apostle Paul, right? But then you got somebody like me that will argue that it wasn't written by him. And people get angry. I hear you, brother, but I disagree. I say it was written by him. And I say, I don't think it was written by him. Well, why you don't think it was written by him? Because every book, every letter, because they was writing letters. The Book of Hebrew is actually a book, but the other ones was actually letters, right? Every letter that Apostle Shaul, that Rav Shaul, that Apostle Paul was involved in, he makes it clear that it was him. He tell you throughout the book sometimes that it was him. He started off, Apostle Paul, Rav Shaul, a servant or a slave to Yahshua ben-Yoseph, and so forth and so on. He puts it in there clear so you will know this is him, right? But in this instance, in the Book of Hebrews, it says nothing. No one's taking the credit for it. So I asked myself, if 9 out of 10 of the works, this person is taking credit for themselves, and in this work, no one's taking credit, can I really attribute this work to this person? Can I do that? The answer should be no. How can you do that? How can you attribute something to this person when this person normally would say, it's me, I did it? But in this instant, he does not say that. So how can I give that to him just because I feel like it sounds like it's him and I feel in my spirit that it's him? Get out of here. That's not enough. That's not enough, right? The same thing is happening in Isaiah. Now, Isaiah 52 and Isaiah 53, it never names who the servant is. He just says, my servant, and leaves it at that. But all these other places that he's going to show you, my servant Israel, my servant Israel, my servant Israel, my servant Israel. Now, some would say, okay, well, since he says my servant Israel here, he say my servant Israel there, and I'm saying all these things are connected, and it's in the same book, and I done said it's poetic and all this other stuff, that now it's talking about him over here too. But he knows it's not that easy to say that. That's why he started off talking about you have to know who is the person talking in the beginning of Isaiah 53. Because pointing this out is not enough. This is context stuff that he's trying to use to build a case that he speaks on as if it's already been built, if it's already been proven, as if it's already fact. But yet, he knows that it's all circumstantial evidence. Is no smoking gun. The smoking gun is if it would do this. This is a smoking gun. This is a smoking gun. If you was in Isaiah 53 and it says, you, Yisrael, my servant, Ya'acob, whom I've chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend. If it said that in Isaiah 53, it'd be cut and dry. Nobody would be able to argue or say nothing. But it doesn't say that. It does not name who this person is that he's saying is his what's the name? It's not saying who this person is, right? In fact, it just says my servant. That's it. Right? So since it's not outright saying it, it's no smoking gun. It's just circumstantial evidence. So he has to compile enough circumstantial evidence to convince you that this is what it is. So he's pulling stuff from here, he's pulling stuff from there, all to try to prove this. Just like what they did with the book of Hebrews. They say, well, I think it's him because he says this right here and it sounds similar, so I'm saying this is him. And he said this in this letter, and it sounds similar, so I'm saying it's him. And my argument is, there's only one problem. Rav Shaul always let people know what he did. This person who wrote the book of Hebrews did not want to take no credit. They didn't say, this is me, I'm writing this. They didn't address it or write their name on it at all. You know, I argued who I thought it could have been. I said it could have been Bar Abba. Because him and Rav Shaul was together so much that, of course, they would sound alike. This is like with any brothers that are around each other all the time. They begin to sound alike. They begin to talk alike. They begin to say certain things where you can know, like, oh, yeah, y'all be around each other all the time. So I kind of argue that it could be him. I can't say for certain it's him, but it could be him. But I definitely just don't believe that it's Rav Shaul because he does not say that he wrote it. Right? So we're going to see Isaiah 41:8. He says, servant nation is Israel. He's going to say 43:10, I believe. Servant of Israel is Israel. He's going to point out all these different things where it says that. But then when it get to Isaiah 52, it says nothing about the servant of Israel is Israel. But Isaiah 52 does not say that. When it get to Isaiah 53, it does not say who the servant is. So my argument is, if it said it all those other times, why not say it in these times? Some will say, because it should be evident that that's who he's talking about at this point. Yeah, Mike can go with that. Or it could be because it's not talking about Israel at that point. It's talking about somebody else. Somebody that the sages call the Mashiach ben-Yoseph, which Rabbi Singer knows about. So as he goes around acting like oblivious to it, he knows. Everybody that's been in yeshiva, so forth, this rabbinical. They know about the Mashiach ben-Yoseph. They don't think you know, but they know. And once you bring it up, then they get tripped up and they start stuttering and stuff like that, because you're not supposed to know nothing about that. You're supposed to believe it's just a servant nation and just run with that, right? All right, so let's go with what he's saying.
11. Remember I said to you, if you know 53, you could presume that Isaiah assumes that you know Isaiah 43. What did I mean by that?
Yeah, what did you
Why
mean
did I
by
say
that?
that to you?
Why?
Because Isaiah 43 verse 10 says...
All right, so let's look at what Isaiah 43 verse 10 says. Now again, Isaiah 41:8 said. Isaiah 43:10 says. He's going to go to other stuff, a whole bunch of stuff, keep saying that, right? Isaiah 52 didn't say it. Isaiah 53 didn't say it. That's why he has to build up a case with circumstantial evidence to convince you. Because if it was a smoking gun, it would be right there. It would be no argument. The whole situation will be moot. Look at what he says. You are my witnesses, declare Yahweh, and my servant, whom I've chosen. Now, even right here, this is not saying that it's talking about Israel. This is not saying that it's talking about Israel. Now, and it's something that we got to look at right here. And so I'm glad he brought this up. So we're going to, let me go right here. I want to go to the Tanakh. Let me look at this. That's Genesis. We can go to Isaiah. Onto the Tanakh. Let me move my man so you can see what I'm doing. I like when y'all can see. All right, so I'm gonna go into the Tanakh. Now in the Tanakh, I'm gonna go to Isaiah. And then he was in 43. And we're gonna look at verse 10. I wanted to go through the whole chapters like I've been doing, but I said I don't want to spend up too much time. I just want to bring this to a good conclusion. So that's why I'm just going to read what he's reading for the night, so we can just get to the bottom of it. We're going to sum this thing up. We done prolonged it for too long, so we need to see it being revealed. So this is plural, right? Attempt. This is you all. So you all, and they are my witnesses. So notice this is the plural witnesses. And a lot of times they say, let me open it up in the Bible Hub. All right. I'm going to show you, because a lot of times they go by the Messianic text or the troph marks. Once you see the troph marks or the Messianic text, and you see those vowel points and stuff there, that gives you a clue as to if the word is a plural word or a singular word. I want to show you what I mean. Isaiah 43:10, and I want to go to the interlinear. So this is a second person masculine pronoun. See how I highlighted it? It'll tell you exactly what it is. And this is what we call when we say you parse it. When you parse the Hebrew, You look at it, you see what it is, you can break down what it is. So this is second person. In other words, it's saying you, and it's masculine, and it's plural, so it's you all. So you all are a day my witnesses. Na'um Yahweh. The oracle with the word of Yahweh, the utterance of Yahweh. So in other words, we know this is the Almighty speaking, right? And he says, you all are my witness. Well, who was he talking to before this? Let's go back. Because who is this you all? All the nations. Kol Hagoyim. Let them be gathered together. Let them be assembled. Let me come out of this so I could just see what it's. I don't want to. If I start getting caught up in the Hebrew, it's gonna be just like it was last week. And I said I want to do that this week, so we gonna keep it PG. All the nations be gathered together. Let all the people be assembled. Who among them can declare this? Oh yeah. Let's try not to go there. All right. Let's just go back for that minute. It just reminded me of something we was touching on last week. Who among them can declare this? So this is where declare this. In the form of things, show us. So who among them can declare this in the form of things? First things. So who among the Gentiles, the Goyim, the nations can declare this, right? So he's breaking something down. I believe we started off with this, but then it gets to this question. It says, show us. Now, again, remember we saying that this had Shema in it. Like this is actually the Shema. This is a conjunction of the Shema. This is the Hefil, the imperfect third person masculine plural, and first person common complete. So the first person common complete is that none with the Y at the end. That is first person plural. In other words, us, we, our. Right? So it says us. So you see us right there. So that's why it says us, right? Now, the problem is this word being show us or declare to us. This word means to hear us, listen to us. That's the problem, right? Let's look at it. Let's click onto it. I want y'all to see the problem with this. And I said I was glad that he brought us to this because I wouldn't even have went here, right? It means to hear. The word means to hear. Now, it's been translated as announced. We see it's been translated show, declare. But the word itself just means to hear or to listen. So I'm like, is it the Hefil? Is it because it's a Hefil? But will that change it from hearing to showing? Because I was looking, I said, well, is it because it's a Hefil, right? But it still should have something to do with hearing or showing. Just like we got, yeah. But I don't want to get too caught up on that. That's something for another time, maybe in a study or a lesson, something like that. because I don't want to get too caught up in that, because that's going to take me away from what we trying to do here. I don't want to back too far away from that. Because I was about to go there, people. Y'all know me. But like, it's going to be a part 4. Y'all like, no, we don't want a part 4. We tired. Let's get to the point. All right, so. And show us the former things. Let them bring out their witnesses, that they may be justified. Or let them hear and say it is true. Then it says, you are my witnesses, says Yahweh, my servant whom I've chosen, that you may know and believe me and understand that I am he. Before me, there was no Elohim form, nor shall there be after me. So I'm going to ride with this translation. And we're going to keep going. I'm just going to scroll down a little further and see, because I want to see, does it say in here that the servant and his witness is Israel? Now, it says witnesses. Also, that's another thing. It says witnesses right here, and then it says, and my servant whom I've chosen. Now, that was another thing that I did want to pick up on, without going too deep into the other thing, because I want you that and that's what I was going at with the what's the name. So my mind can leave at times. I could get caught up with one thing and forget the point I was trying to make. All right, so they say when you got a patak, and a yod, this means it's plural. So it's not just my witness, but my witnesses. Also, we can see that this is plural. So normally, if the noun or pronoun is plural, then a verb associated with it will be plural. So if this is saying, you are my witnesses, this is plural. And then this says, and my servant. We see that it's the same setup. You got the yod at the end, which is showing that it means my, right? But also it should be plural, like b'nai. B'nai is ben is son, but b'nai is plural, which means children, because it comes from benin, but they take the yod off to make it plural. So it could say, and my servants, right? Which is what this could be saying. Or and servants, right? Not even my servants, but it could just be saying and servants. So we saying, you are my witnesses and servants, which I have chosen, right? So the idea is, how do we know that this is not saying it, right? How do we know? You see what I'm saying? Because this could very well be saying that. I mean, we looking at it right here, you know, this ending part right here. How do we know that it's not saying it? Now, some will argue because it doesn't have a patah. See, because we got a patah at the bottom of this one. So it don't got a patah, so that's how we know. But this is dealing with saying my, plural. But just like with b'nai, b'nai doesn't have the batak after it. Then you might say, well, I don't know about that. All right, so let's just look it up and find it. It's an easy find. Children of Israel, right? Let's look at it. Let's see. Let's just see it for children of Israel. I went to Israel. That ain't what I wanted you to do. I wanted you to show me. Oh, that's because I'm in the Strongs. Hold on. I gotta come out the Strongs. That's because I'm in the Strongs. Because I'm in a concordance. Let me come out the concordance. Does it say children of Israel? Now I'm doing this on purpose because I want y'all to see something. So say children of Israel. What are they talking about? Children of Israel. This will say nation of Israel. Sometimes this what's the name does not bring up stuff like it should. I was trying to show y'all something that ain't making it difficult. That's house. Okay, let me do it this way. Let me do it this way. Because I want y'all to see B'nai Yisrael. But that concordance always do that. That's why I always go outside of the concordance to find. So whenever I try to look stuff up in that concordance, it's like I cannot find it. Then I go and somewhere else and it'll be like, boom, it's right there. And it's like, okay. It's still not showing me what I want. All right, guys, this is really irritating me right now. It's showing me all kind of stuff except what I want. I know I've seen it many times. All right, I done seen it many times. Right there within the text. And now that I want to show y'all something, I'm really trying to show y'all the Hebrew writing. And I want to be able to look it up in a concordance so y'all can see it. It's taking me back to Exodus, so it's saying I should just go write this Exodus and I should see it. There we go. Thank you. Woo. See? Now, when I typed that into the concordance, why didn't it just show that at first when I typed that in earlier? Why did I have to go through all this just to find this simple thing so I can show y'all this? This is ridiculous. But anyway, let's look at this. This says B'nai Yisrael. This is a plural word. Notice it doesn't mean my sons, right? Because for it to mean my sons, this vowel underneath of this nun has to be a patah. The vowel is not a patah. So since the vowel is not a patah, then the patah follows the yod. That's how you know that it's plural and that it signifies ma. Right? Now, sometimes it can signify ma as well without being plural. But in this instance, what it makes you think is the word servant is avadim. Right? Avadim means servants. If I'm connecting it to a word, or if I'm saying it's part of a word, or if I'm just using it in a plural sense, the mem gets dropped. So instead of this being banim, the mem gets dropped and it becomes b'nai. And this is b'nai Yisrael, right? Now, we see the same thing happen in Isaiah 43. Look at it. This could very well be avadim, which is plural. But they saying that it's not, that it's singular because they tied it in with "and my servant." Then they try to make it mean "my," that this yod is actually put the possessive suffix. That's why it says, for the suffix, it says first person singular. That's for the suffix. That means "my." First person singular, "my," right? But it can be argued because number one is the vowel points aren't in the actual writing. But it also can be argued because we know, just like we say with b'nai, that it also can mean servants. So it can be said, "You are my witnesses," because we see it's plural right here. "You are my witnesses." And it's still "my." See, it's still "my," but the noun is masculine plural. But they saying this noun is masculine singular. Now, it could be masculine singular, but it make more sense to say "you are my witnesses and servants, which I've chosen." So it's still talking about Israel. So it doesn't take away that that's talking about Israel, but it does take away the idea of servant, as if it's servant, talking about one individual. So it does take away from that. But let me not get too caught up with that. I'm just trying to poke holes in the circumstantial evidence. So that's what he's presenting. He's presenting circumstantial evidence to support his claim. And I'm just trying to poke holes in it. Well, let me go back and let him finish up.
Atem edai nuhum Hashem, you are my witnesses, declares the Lord, avdi asher bacharti. That's all. You are my witnesses, declares the Lord. That's plural. Avdi, my exact same word, as in 52 and 53. My servant. So is a servant one or many? Good.
All right, now. Notice he's trying to drive home this point about the one or the many to go against the argument that I just presented. The argument that I just presented is this could very well be the plural word for servants. The plural word for servant is avad. or aved. So for the masculine plural is avadim. Avadim means servants. We see just like with benim, which means sons, you can take the mem off, the mem sofit off, when you connected it to something or you connected it with something, you can take that mem sofit off and it still has its plural status of the word, but it doesn't mean my anymore. It just has the plural status. So if we do it in that manner, then is not witnesses and servant. It's witnesses and servants. Say I mess up the whole dynamic of what he's trying to prove. That pokes a hole right in it. But again, he's focusing on that you are probably just somebody that just knows English. And that you're not going to look at this with Hebraic grammar.
Many. Why use the word servant? Because the nation of Israel, although made up of people, have not only a unique bond of a history, but a singular destiny. That's why. It's so simple. There's not poetry like Shakespeare. This is like poetry means that the language is extremely dense.
Yeah, okay? I can get you. I go with you with that.
It's not poetry like you're just trying to figure out Shelley. It's very, very dense, and there's a need to read it in context, because if you don't, there's no chance. Just walk away from it. And Christians, knowingly or more likely unknowingly, exploit it to death. Okay? All right, now we can unpack it. So it's Isaiah 41:8, 9, 42:6, 43:10, and 11. So you should know that.
Now, this is a straw man, because now he's bringing up something that don't got nothing to do with what we was talking about, to argue against something. Isaiah 43:11, right? Isaiah 43:11, it says, I, even I, am Yahweh, and besides me there is no Savior. Now, this can mess you up if you are Christian. And that's the whole reason why he's doing it. This is his attack on Christians. I'm going to throw this out here. I know you Christians don't want to hear this, and I'm going to throw this out here. The only Savior is the Almighty himself. Is no person as the Savior, this, that, and other. Now, that work with Christians, fine. But I'm Messianic, so I agree with you. So we can just move on from here. This part is irrelevant to me because, okay, I agree with that.
There is no Savior besides me.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you want?
See, he threw that out there just to get you, right? But now look at right here. I mean, again, let me bring my man out, or try, because we run out of time. I don't want to spend too much time, so I want to let us get through this. So he says, Isaiah 44:1-2. Yet hear, O Ya'acob, my servant, and Yisrael, whom I have chosen. Now, so said Yahweh your maker, and he formed you from the womb, and he who formed you from the womb shall aid you. Fear not my servant Ya'acob, and Yeshurun whom I chose. All right, again, it's clear and dry. He says exactly who he's talking about right here. In 44, I don't have no argument against that. Even in 43, we can say that it kind of hinted towards it being talking about Israel. I have nothing against that, right? Even if you argue and say, no, it does say servant, I'm standing with servant. Fine. Again, the first thing that I brought up, because all I'm doing is trying to poke holes. That's all I'm doing. I'm just trying to poke holes. Because he's the prosecution. He's the prosecutor. He's bringing up this evidence, and now I'm being a defense attorney, and I'm just poking holes in it where I can to get you to think. So, because you got to be able to declare this without a reasonable doubt, right? So I'm poking holes in his whole argument. So now, this goes back to my original hole that I poked from the very beginning before I start going into the Hebrew text, which was, okay, in these different verses, it says it clear. Sometimes it says, Yisrael is my servant. Now right here it said, Yaakov is my servant, right? And it says it twice. My servant Yaakov, my servant Yaakov. Sometimes it says my servant Yisrael, right? You might say, okay, it's the same person, right? But that's not the point. My point is, it says it. It doesn't say it in Isaiah 52. It doesn't say it in Isaiah 53. So now I would have to be able to employ these different things like I did for Isaiah 43. I was able to employ certain things for Isaiah 43 to say, okay, this could very well be talking about Yisrael. I can't argue against that with Isaiah 43. But now once we get to 52 and 53, we read all of 52 on the first episode. And y'all seen all of 52, it did not say that it was talking about Yisrael. And all of 53, it does not say that it's talking about Yisrael, nor does it imply it like it does in 43. It doesn't even imply it in 52 or 53. So that's the holes that's poked in this argument. So you can show it saying it here. I can figure it out or find an application for it in 43. But if I can't find it in 52 and 53, then I can't say that's what it means because it meant that over here. Because this is poetic. I don't know what it means. It's so dense, right? So I can't say, well, it said there, so that's what it means right there. It might don't mean that right there. Sometimes people use poetic license to say something and then flip it to something else, right? This is poetic. This is dense. I'm using his words, his terms.
44:1, 44:21, 45:4.
I saw 44:21. Remember these, O Yaakov and Yisrael, for thou art my servant. I have formed thee. Thou art my servant, O Yisrael. So now we see he flipped it. First said Yaakov and Yisrael, then it's Yaakov. Then it's only Yaakov. Now it's Yaakov and Yisrael. Now it's O Yisrael. Again, he's making it clear, though, in these different parts that he's talking about Israel.
48:20, 49:3.
45:4. For the sake of my servant Yaakov and Israel, my chosen one, right? Again, what is he saying about them? He's saying that they my chosen, they my servants. Okay, so being a servant and chosen mean that you somebody that hears from him, right? And somebody who his arm been revealed to, right? Y'all see where I'm going with this?
Servant is Israel. Not once, all over the place.
All over the place. Right here. Isaiah 48:20. Leave Babylon, flee from the Chaldeans with the voice of singing, declare, tell this, publicize it to the end of the earth. Say, Yahweh has redeemed his servant, Yaakov. Right? So we see clearly in all these instances, it keeps saying who his servant is. Why doesn't it do that with Isaiah 52 or 53? Why doesn't it even apply that like it does in Isaiah 43? Where you can at least see the implication, but you can't even see the implication in 52 or 53. But let's keep going.
You have to get this through your head, Kindle. You have to know who's
Let's
speaking.
get it through our heads. Isaiah 49:3. Again, and he said to me, thou art my servant, O Yisrael, in whom I will be glorified. I have no problem with this. This is proving my argument. My argument is, if he said it all these times, why not say it those 2 times where it's very, very important to specify who he's talking about? You got 2 chapters that everybody agrees is Messianic. And yet, in these 2 chapters that everybody agrees is Messianic, he does not say once who the servant is. He just says, my servant. So the idea is we're supposed to be able to say that it's talking about this, but it's something that happens in Isaiah 53. Is that up? Something that happens that messes that up. So let's keep it going.
You don't know that the Gentile kings of nations are speaking, and this is a Messianic chapter. This is in the Messianic age.
See, so that's why he keep trying to tell you that the people speaking at the beginning has to be the Gentile kingdoms had to be the ones speaking. And that's why I said, once you read it and see it clearly, that it's not the Gentiles kings are speaking. That messes up his whole argument. Once you punch that major hole in that, which was already done in episode 1 and reiterated in episode 2, and I'm going to get back again to in episode 3, this episode, we're going to see.
Then you can't possibly understand what's going on here. The Goyim are speaking and they're shocked. What are they shocked about? They're shocked.
Now, it doesn't say that they're shocked. Nowhere in 53 does it say the person talking is shocked. If you read your version, it said, who has believed our report? It don't say they shocked, like, who going to believe us? That's not what it's saying. It's saying, who is the one that believes our report? Not who going to believe us. He's trying to use our way of thinking now as if it says, who is going to believe us? It's not saying who is going to believe us. It says, who is the one that believes?
That Israel was raised up and vindicated at the end of it all. And they asked the question, Mi hemen l'shmo asenu, who would have believed such a thing?
Now, that's him translating it himself. It does not say, who has believed such a thing? It does not say that. It does not say that. It said, who is the one that believes that which they heard from us? That's what it literally says. That's why they translated that what they heard from us to our report. That's what it said. Who is the one that believes our report? Who is the one that believes that which they hear from us? So the idea is, who is the us that's talking? He wants you to get out of the biblical sense of who this us is and say, oh, it's the nation because it says us. But we know when the Almighty speaks, he says, let us do this, let us do that. When the Almighty himself is speaking, that's how he speaks. We know that. And once you put it together, you're like, hold up, that's the Almighty talking. That's not no Gentiles.
And look who's the arm of the Lord. By the way, you should have.
And it don't say, and look to whom's the arm of Yahweh. It says, and to whom has the arm of Yahweh been revealed. Now, once you kind of translate it kind of funky, you kind of throw your own little slurs on it, you can make it mean whatever you want it to mean. It's not saying what he's saying that it's saying. And we already looked at this. I'm not even going to go. If you want to get more into that, go back to the first episode. It's on fire right now. Many people are watching it. I encourage you, go back to the first episode to get, if you want to know who's speaking at the beginning. Because as he says, that clears up everything.
You should have seen it in the text where it says, by his knowledge, my servant will vindicate the just for many.
Now.
And look who's the arm of the Lord. By the way, you should have seen it in.
All right, so Isaiah 53:11. With his knowledge, my servant will vindicate the just for many days, and their iniquities he would bear. Now, he's want us to believe that this is talking about Yisrael, and he feel like by saying his knowledge is going to attack Christendom and all this other nonsense. Think about the Rebbe. Through the Rebbe's knowledge of Torah, he was able to vindicate, he was able to heal, he was able to make whole. He was able to bear the iniquities. Torah. Because he was the essence of the Torah. Now you might say, well, hold on, you're going too far. It's in the Talmud where it talks about Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was a strong figure amongst the sages, and he was very strong in Torah. One day, Rabbi Akiva was late coming to the Midrashim. He was late coming to the schools, and he didn't want to interrupt the classes where they was reading through the Torah scrolls. He didn't want to interrupt the classes, so he sat outside by himself. Instead of going into the Knesset, he sat outside by himself, and he opened up the scrolls. He began to read and study. One of the students from inside the Knesset looked out and seen him out there. And he said, why are we in here studying when the Torah is outside? Now, he wasn't talking about the book. He wasn't talking about the scroll. He was calling Rabbi Akiva the Torah. Because Rabbi Akiva, essence, his life, everything so engulfed Torah that when people saw him, they saw the Torah. So they called him the Torah. So he said, why are we in here studying when the Torah is outside? And that's where the people left out of the yeshiva and went outside with Rabbi Akiva, signifying that he was the Torah. So here we have our Rebbe, Rabbi Yahshua that we say was beyond that level of Rabbi Akiva, where he was so beyond that level, where we say that he is the Torah, just like they said about Rabbi Akiva. We go beyond that, right? So if he is the Torah, just like Rabbi Akiva, he's so engulfed in it, then wouldn't his knowledge vindicate just? Wouldn't he be able to bear the iniquities of the just? Like what's going on here? So I agree with him with this.
The text where it says, by his knowledge, my servant will vindicate the just for many. What do you mean by his knowledge or by his prayer? It was through his blood if it's Christian. But
hey, see how he threw the jab at Christian? It's through his blood if he's Christian. Well, guess what? I'm not Christian, so it's through Torah, son. You know what I mean? It's through the Torah. You can't get me with that. It's through the Torah. So let's keep it moving. I know we running really, really finally on the time, but I really want to get this done. And so I'm just gonna keep it moving.
That's just that right away should tip you off. Let's go back. Until the point of the coming of Mashiach, what do the nations attribute the suffering of the Jews to? Let's think this through. Let's be honest.
All right, so now he's saying, what do the nations? So now he's trying to give us some idea on why he's trying to point this out and saying the nations were saying whatever they were saying. So the nations are saying why the nations saying Israel is going through stuff. So let's see what he says.
Christians recognize that the Jews, while they don't have a monopoly on suffering, they are the people who have suffered throughout history consistently.
All right, now, hear me and hear me well. And that's why I wanted to hurry up and get to this part. I didn't want to skip through stuff because I don't want nobody to be like, you skipped through because you knew you couldn't deal with his wisdom and his knowledge. Because you know that's how some people will say. That's why this clip was so short. I said I don't want to skip through because I don't want nobody claiming that I couldn't handle his wisdom and his knowledge. But let's make something clear. I want you to get this clear. He's right. Israel has suffered more than anybody else throughout this time. The idea is, who is this Israel that we talking about? As you're going to see him talking, he's going to be talking about the Ashkenazim. That's not what we talking about. We talking about us Israelites, that's still suffering right now today. Right here. Still suffering. I show y'all over and over on breaking news for those people that say, oh, it's over with, oh, it's done away with, oh, this ain't happening, that ain't happening. I show y'all over and over again on breaking news that that's not true. That we are still suffering, that we are still going through stuff just because of who we are. Just because of who we are. So he's right. We have suffered more than any other people throughout this planet. We don't got a monopoly on suffering, but we've been suffering more and in great more deal than anybody else. So I had to break to this so you can see me clearly as I say this, because a lot of people try to skip around this, but we can't skip around this. All right, so let's go back to what Rabbi Singer is saying.
We're not the only people that suffered, but, you know, it's like what Elie Wiesel said years ago. He said that when referring to World War II, he said, not every victim of the Nazis was a Jew, but every Jew was a victim. Okay. So until the Messiah comes, why do the Jews suffer? What do the nations hold? Why?
All right, so again, as I said, he's pointing towards Ashkenazim and talking about, you know, the different suffering that was done to them. I'm talking about Israel as a whole. As a whole. Us Israelites that don't even know who we are. We just believe that we are color. And the same people who went through different stuff will fight for us just to have that false belief that we are color. That's all you are. Right? So, let me go on with what he's trying to prove, because you see clearly with these signs what he's trying to say.
Did the Jews suffer so much? All the church fathers said it, all the reformers said it. The Jews suffer, the nations hold, so much because they rejected Christ. Augustine.
All right, so this guy right here, Augustine, and all these other church fathers, that don't mean nothing to me because I'm not part of the church. So I don't even know them for the most part. When people start quoting from, like, who? What do he say? Okay, I don't care nothing about what he talking about. Let's keep it moving, right? and they get upset because well, your church fathers say this. Who church fathers? They not my fathers. I don't know that other people. That guy right there, he don't speak for me. Augustine, so Augustine the hippo. He don't speak for me. I say I don't pick up his books and read and say, I wonder what Augustine thinks. Get out of here. So this part was kind of irrelevant. Now let me see if I can fast forward past this part. Well, let me see what else he gonna say. This part kind of irrelevant. I want him to make his point.
Probably
now.
The most important church father, right? He was a Latin church father. His magnum opus, City of God. He has to explain that he wants to explain away a lot of. City of God is an apologetic work to explain why Rome fell.
Subscribe, please subscribe.
But in it,
like,
he explained
subscribe.
explicitly that the Jews suffer like this because they rejected Christ and killed him. They all did this, just for right.
Now, that is true. Christendom does do that, right? But now, us Messianic Israelites or Jews, we know, especially us who are still suffering, we know that the reason why we suffer has nothing to do with denying the Rebbe. We suffer because we broke Torah. Torah says that we will go through all these curses and suffer and all this stuff for breaking the covenant. That's why we suffer. We broke the covenant, so we suffer. It has nothing to do with what's going on with the Rebbe. You know, some can argue and argue successfully that attributed to it. But for the most part, we're going through the suffering and the struggles that we're going through because we broke the Torah.
Now, I'm going to say something. Just take my word for it. They all held this. Okay? When Mashiach comes, so until this point, until the point of Mashiach, the nations attribute the suffering of the Jew to the Jews' wrongfulness in rejecting their God, their Savior, their demigod, their prophet, whatever.
Now, he's trying to say that this is what Isaiah 52:15 is talking about. My argument is Isaiah would have never had that in mind as he was writing poetically about this, about anything about Christianity, about the deities of the nations and all that, because in his mind, the people will already know that the deities of the nations ain't for Israel. Everybody already know that they got their own deities that they worship. So, to bring this up and to pull this out, this is an argument that he's making with Christendom. This is an argument with Christendom and Christianity. This is not an argument about what the text is talking about. Isaiah 52:15 is not talking about people who was Christians saying, oh man, we now know the truth. We thought we was right, but the whole time we was wrong. As he's trying to point out. Isaiah 52 is not talking about that at all. So this is kind of disingenuous, and he understands and knows that Isaiah 52:15 is not talking about no Christians. You are inferring it on them now based off of your understanding and your belief that you hold now. But Isaiah was not thinking about what you thinking about now. That's not what he was thinking about when he was writing it. Let's be clear. That's outside of the realm of Isaiah to start talking about Christians and what Christians believe. That has nothing to do with Isaiah 52:15. Nothing.
Right? What conundrum faces the nations of the world when Mashiach finally does come? That original question that emerged, then why did the Jews suffer so much?
That is not what Isaiah... Please read Isaiah 52. Please, 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 please. If you don't listen to nothing else I say, if you don't believe nothing I say, read Isaiah 52 and think about Isaiah in his day and his time, where he didn't know anything about a Christian at all. And you will have to agree that it has nothing to do with Christian, has nothing to do with why do the Israelites suffer. It is not, it's not talking about why do the Israelites suffer? We was wrong the whole time. That's not what it's talking about.
Like, who would have believed that the Jews were right all along and Christianity was a false religion?
See? That's I throw that in here. They said that Isaiah was saying that's what the nation said. Who would have believed? And the Jews or the Israelites was right on the line, and Christianity is a false religion. That is not what Isaiah 52:15 is about. But see how he puts this together to bring this argument out? You're a smooth brother. You're a smooth brother, fam. I get it to you. You are smooth. But I'm sitting there like, come on. It has nothing to do with it. What are you talking about?
What Look how the servant of God, which we have learned is Israel.
So they said, oh, they was learning the servant is Israel. Oh my goodness, boy. So it was never him. It was Israel the whole time. What are you talking about?
So the Goyim are shocked. They're shocked because what they're seeing, what they're finally witnessing is like nothing they were ever told. Please read Isaiah 52:15. Why?
Please read Isaiah 52, period. You will see that it is not talking about what he's talking about right now. It's not talking about that at all. I can't believe he's saying this right now. But I had to rewind it, like, oh, what did he just say? That's not talking about that.
Is 52:15 really important? Because it's the verse right before Isaiah 53. And that chapter break is artificial. The only thing about that chapter break that has value, this is important to get this in your head, is that in Isaiah 52, verse 13 through 15, 3 passages.
Now, look at what it's saying right here. Now, this is not one time that it say my servant is Israel, my servant is Ya'acob, my servant is anybody, but it's talking about the servant. Behold, my servant will prosper, he will be high and lifted up and greatly exalted, right? That's what it said about the servant, right? Let's keep it going.
God is speaking. Very important. So the last 3 passages.
So he will startle many nations. Kings will shut their mouths because of him. For what they are not told, they will see. What they have not heard, they will understand. That's what it says. It doesn't say they was Christians and they like, oh my goodness, we were so wrong. What are you talking about? It has nothing to do with Christianity. Oh my goodness, come on. This is talking about what's going to happen when the Mashiach comes, how he's going to shut down these people. It says clearly what it's talking about. Not one time do it says the people going to say they was wrong and this, that. All this is stuff that he's inferring, that he's bringing out from the text. It's not saying that. It's just saying that is giving you the idea that redemption, some kind of way, is going to come to the Goyim. For what they were not told, they will see. What they have not heard, they will understand. So it's sure like some kind of light coming, being shed or shining towards them. But it's not saying what he said, that the Christians, oh my goodness, what are you talking about? Isaiah wasn't thinking about no Christians. We can't do that. We can't do that.
Isaiah 52, God is speaking. In Isaiah 53, verse 1 through 8, God is not speaking. Isaiah is preserving prophetically what the Gentiles will say in a soliloquy when the Mashiach comes.
Now, that is not the case. And he says, Isaiah 53:9, and he gave his grave to the wicked and to the wealthy and all kinds of death, because he committed no violence and there was no deceit in his mouth. Now let's go out, because what I'm going to do now, because I'm running out of time, I wanted y'all to hear more what he was saying, so y'all can really get even more of the stuff that he's saying. I wanted y'all to hear even more what he's saying. But let's just go right here so we can see what he's saying. All right, so I'm gonna let's do this. I'm gonna open up the scriptures real quick. Let's do this. All right. Let's go to Isaiah 50. Yeah, because we run out of time. It's about to be the 2-hour mark. Go past 2 hours. And I want to conclude. So I think I poked enough holes in his argument. So now let's put a seal on it. All right, so it says, who is the one that believes that which they heard from us? It don't say who can believe. It's not what it says. It said, who is the one that believes? Now, let's come back out. Let's let me see. All right. Where's Believe our message? Where's Believe our report? Believe our. But notice all of them is no ken in there. Even in the Hebrew is no ken. So this ken is all people trying to perpetuate an idea or thought that they wanted to say. Look what it says. Who is the one that believes that which they heard? Upon whom is the arm of Yahweh been revealed? Let's go to 9. I want to go to where he was at with 9. Let's see. But he has grown by Elohim's favor like a tree crown, like a trunk out of mid or arid ground. He has no form, no beauty that we should look at him, no charm that we should find him pleasing. Right? Let's see. No beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief, and we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we did not esteem him. Suffered he endured, we counted him. He was wounded because of our sins, crushed because of our iniquities. He bore the chastisement that made us whole, and by his bruises we were healed. Now, all this seemingly is Yisrael talking. We all went astray like sheep, each of us going our own way, and Elohim visited upon him the guilt of us all. This all is sounding like it sound like it's Yisrael talking. That's why he want us to say that it's the nations, right? Because if we say it's the nations, then we can say that this is Israel doing all this stuff for the nations. Well, how we all went astray like sheep? The nations are saying that? Was the nations ever part of the fold doing what they were supposed to do? Who was the oracles given to? That's why I say that first verse is the Almighty talking, right? Because it's establishing who's about to be talking. And like he says, poetic. So we going from the Almighty to Yisrael. So this is the Almighty speaking. Who can believe that who is the one that believes that which they heard from us? Upon whom is the arm of him being revealed. So they're saying it's talking about Israel. Israel is the one who hears, Israel is the one who's the arm been revealed on. Then verse 2 says, for he has grown in his favor like a tree crown. So now it's someone else talking because they say Elohim, right? So if this is Elohim talking, I will say Elohim. So this is now switched to another voice. Well, who's this voice talking? So he says, for he has grown by Elohim's favor like a tree crown, like a tree trunk out of arid ground. He had no form or beauty that we should look at him. So now let's talk about who looking at him. So this the idea is it's talking about his servant. No one's want to look at him. We don't want to look at him and say, I have no charm that we should find him pleasing, right? He's not going to be charming. We're going to find him pleasing. He was despised and shunned by others. We know that that was the Mashiach, right? That's what Rabbi Yahshua ben-Yoseph did, right? But see, as the sages read this, they understood that this is talking about a person going through this. So it's saying that this individual is going to be despised and shunned by others. He's a man of suffering, familiar with disease, one who hid his face from us. He was despised. We held him on no account, right? So this is not the Almighty talking at this point. At this point, this is Israel talking, right? Then it says, yet it was our sickness that he was bearing, our suffering that he endured. What is it talking about? Yisrael was suffering. Yisrael was going through. See what he's trying to get you to get out. That's why I said I wanted to go through what he was saying, because he's keep pointing it to the Ashkenazim. And I'm like, no, you got to point to Yisrael as a whole, because it says Yisrael is going to suffer. Deuteronomy 28. This is what it's talking about. Yet it was our sickness that he was bearing, our suffering that he endured, right? We accounted him plagued, smitten and afflicted by Elohim, right? So they looked at the Mashiach a certain way. They looked down on him. Look how they looked at him as he was being whipped and tortured, right? It says, he was wounded for our sins. Now think about it. If this the Goyim talking, what do they mean by their sins? They talk about the Noachide laws. They didn't keep the Noachide laws. What sins they got? The ones who was given the Torah and told that you had to keep the Torah, we can see clearly what sins they got, because you broke the Torah. Now you got sins. Sin is the transgression of the Torah. It says, but he was wounded because of our sins, crushed because of our iniquities. Who is the our that's speaking? So now this our that's speaking is Israel. He bore the chastisement that made us whole, and by his bruises we were healed. As you hear this, as you read it, you see clearly it's talking about the Rebbe and what he went through for the lost sheep, for Yisrael. We were all astray like sheep. The Goyim wasn't part of no fold. How can you say this? Talk about the Goyim is saying this. When was they sheep to the Almighty? Who was the sheep of the Almighty? Who did the Almighty put a shepherd over? The Goyim? What are y'all talking about? How can y'all read this and think that it's talking about the Goyim? Each of us going our own way. And Elohim visited upon him the guilt of us all. All of us was guilty for breaking the Torah. The Goyim never stood under the mountain and said all that the Almighty says they will do. They weren't part of that covenant. It's not talking about them. The arm of Yahweh was not revealed to them. They aren't the ones who believed that which they heard from the Almighty. This is talking about Israel. It made it clear in the first verse who was about to be talking. It says, he was maltreated, yet he was submissive. He did not open his mouth. Like sheep being led to the slaughter, like an ewe dumb before those who share her, he did not open his mouth. Who is this talking about? Who went through all this suffering and did all these things? See, the reason why he points out all this other stuff and keeps pointing all these different things as he's talking is because he knows as you read this text, you can't help but clearly see that this is talking about the suffering servant that the sages dub Yahshua ben-Yoseph, that we know actually as Yahshua ben-Yoseph, because that just so happened to be his father's name. Or is adopted father's name? Isn't that crazy and so way that's put together? By oppressive judgment, he was taken away. Who could describe his abode? He was cut off from the land of the living. In other words, this talking about somebody that was killed. Cut off from the land of the living mean you are dead. You said it's talking about Israel. Well, metaphorically, come on now. But he was cut off from the land of the living. Through the sin of my people who deserved the punishment. How can we say this is now the Goyim talking? He wanted to try to make that part be the Goyim talking. So every time you see us and our, you'll say, oh, that's the Goyim. But when you look at the first verse and you realize it's the Almighty talking, and then you see the next verse and you say that can't be the Almighty talking right there. So that's another us. Well, what us is that? That's the us that was introduced in the first verse. So now the second verse starts off with another us talking. And this us talking are the ones that believe that which was heard from the Almighty, are the ones that the arm of the Almighty was revealed to. That is who's talking right here, because we went astray. Deuteronomy 28. This is what it's talking about. And his grave was set among the wicked, and with the rich in his death, though he had done no injustice. So how can you say this talking about Israel when we know Israel did injustice? That's the whole reason we went through what we went through in the first place. So how can we say this talking about Israel when Israel did injustice? What are you talking about? That's the whole reason why we went into exile. That's the whole reason why we suffering to this day. As the brother said, to this day. To this day. Not we suffering no more, everything good. We suffering to this day. It says that with the rich, though he had done no injustice. No, they can't be talking about Israel. And spoken no falsehood. That's talking about Israel? What are you talking about? Get out of here. You know that ain't talking about Israel. spoken no falsehood. We spoke all kind of falsehood. But it's saying that this person didn't speak falsehood at all. This person didn't do any injustice. So you can't convince me now, as I read verse 9, that this is talking about Israel. This is where he left off at, saying that verse 9 is talking about Israel. Get out of here. Get out of here. Come on now. And look how he translated it different. There was no deceit in his mouth. Even that is not true. What's going on here?
From 9 through 12, those last 4 verses, God resumes speaking. So if you don't know what I just said now, you might as well go home. You have no chance at understanding what's happening here, okay? So those are the 3 sections, 52, 13 through 15, God is speaking. 53, 1 through 8, the Gentile kings of nations are speaking, and they are shocked. We're going to discuss that now. And Isaiah 53, verse 9 through 12, God makes a deal with the servant and explains ultimately how the servant will bear out humanity.
And again, not true. Again, 52:15 shows how the Goyim was not the ones that listened. They did not hear anything. It makes it clear that they did not listen. But at 53:1, it asks, who is the one that believes and listens? Who is the one that the been revealed to? That's 53:1. Then 53:2 on down, it is Yisrael that's doing the talking. And yeah, the Almighty does reinsert back in there. You do see at certain points. But for the most part, we see that it's Yisrael doing the talking. And the whole time, within all that, it's talking about this servant. The servant that had no injustice within him. That did not speak falsehood. That you want to convince me was a servant nation, Israel? Who we clearly went into exile because we broke the Torah. So that's injustice. We broke the Torah. We lied on people. We had falsehood. What are you talking about? So I'm going to end it on this note. I think from here you can pretty much should be clear to be able to look at the rest of what he's saying and get stuff out of it. If need be, and I have to go back over it again, I will go back over some other stuff if need be, if it comes back up. What I'm going to do from now on, I'm going to try to just get the highlight parts like I did with, I know I want to be authentic and have the whole video because I don't want nobody to say, oh, he couldn't handle this and the other. But as y'all see, it takes too much time to do it that way. It takes too much time to do it that way. We are now at 12:14, and this is already a late show. It's even later. But I appreciate those who were on and were watching. I appreciate y'all for being on here. There's a few people that I've seen that are on here with me. I don't know if you're still on here with me. But I know you were on here with me when I originally started. And I appreciate you for being on here with me. And for those who will watch this in a replay, I was trying to get through all the stuff. I know it's very long, but I was trying to get through the stuff because I really wanted to go through the verses and all of the stuff. But what I'm going to do in the future, I'm just going to highlight the different parts that I know is very detrimental because it was stuff that he said that I really wanted to touch on that I didn't. And yeah, but I don't want to do a part 4. because I have another show in mind that I believe will be very exciting for you all, that I know you all would want to see. And this was brought to my attention. And as I say, if y'all ever want anything that y'all want me to talk about or speak on, just bring it to my attention, and I will. And this show that I'm going to do for next week was brought to my attention. I don't want to get into it right now because I want to surprise you, but I want you all to just keep following up with this. If you all want me to conclude with the last, because I got 7 minutes left on what he has to say. If you all want me to do another short video on this 7 minutes, I can do that in the future where we can revisit this and come back to this and touch on that in the future. But for right now, I believe I poked enough holes in this circumstantial evidence to show that there's no grounds for his argument, because as he says, once we know who's speaking in the beginning, we know everything. The person that, or the one that's speaking in the beginning, is the Almighty. The second verse, we see it switches from the Almighty to somebody else. Who is it switching from when it switched from the Almighty to somebody else? Well, it starts talking about Elohim and what Elohim has done, and so forth and so on. So now we see it gradually switches from the Almighty to now talking about Yisrael. And we see clearly that it's talking about Yisrael, because Yisrael are the ones that was the sheep of the Almighty. Yisrael are the ones who made the covenant. Yisrael are the ones who broke the covenant. Yisrael are the ones who are in need of a redeemer. The Goyim of the nations was not looking for no redeemer from Israel. Let's get that clear. That is a Christian idea and thought. That is not what Torah teaches about why the Mashiach is to come. He's to come to redeem Yisrael, and then to establish justice and so forth. Well, first and foremost is for the redemption of the Almighty's people. So once you have that understanding and you read those verses, you can see clearly that that's not the nations talking. That's not the nation saying because of their sin. Why would that wouldn't even matter? We are talking about the sin that caused people to go into exile was our sin. That's what's being talked about and spoken of. And it had nothing to do with the Christian thought was, oh, because y'all denied this, that, and other. No. The sin was we broke Torah. That's what it's about. So next week's show, I'm going to try to have everything queued up, make sure I got everything together so we can be on point, because I hate when I do such a long show as tonight. This is the longest show I've done, but I really wanted to get a lot of stuff done. So this is the longest and the latest show that I've done. But I appreciate you all for hanging in there and watching for this long. And I thank you. And again, just want to tell you to please like, share, and subscribe to the show. My Take with Rosh Ya'acob Avraham. I'm going to go into the comments probably and read through some things and maybe converse with some people and thank them for commenting, because I appreciate it, even if they don't agree with me. I appreciate you commenting. Again, my name is Rosh Ya'acob ben Avraham. I'm Rabbi at Gethsemane Spiritual Temple Congregation, and I want to bid you all shalom.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Elohim